I do an orientation for every single person that comes into our facility. And it's interesting the reaction I get from people when I actually get them to say, what's your self-care plan? And they go, a what? When you write a care plan for a patient, you are thinking about, their physical, emotional, spiritual, etc. What do you do for yourself? And I think putting pen to paper has a commitment behind it.
I personally find that being strategic and proactive about it really works for me. I think we're all so busy. So I think if we don't quarantine time, we don't make time to practice self-care, days and weeks and months tend to fly by, and often, we're very run down or kind of reaching an edge state, or, a point of pre-burnout before we kind of realise. I think whether that's physical exhaustion or being emotionally exhausted, I think putting time aside every day, even if it's just 10 minutes to half an hour, for me makes a lot of sense.
Look, I think that having a self-care plan is really helpful. It gives a framework to help reflect. I think self-care is self-reflection. It's understanding what is meaningful to me.
I think the idea of self-care plan is great, and I've seen all of these be useful for different people that I've worked with. One is actually having the conversation. So and that's can be an internal conversation. What sort of things do I think are useful for me? What are the sorts of challenges that I find that I'm prey to in terms of caring for myself? The sorts of things that make it more difficult for me to be able to sort of turn up to work and to do the job that I want to, and what sort of things make that easier, and how am I going to work with, within the context that I'm in, how am I going to work with those things to try and continue to care for myself, So that can be an internal conversation. It can be a conversation that you actually have with others, and I think that this is probably not done enough, that actually self-care is something that we can participate in together, and many of us work within teams where we're in fact having a conversation about how we're going to be caring for ourselves and supporting ourselves to sort of both provide care for each other, but also to stick to the plan, I think is potentially really useful.